So dry flies, the best foam dries for reservoir fishing, this is my opinion, there's three. Definitely the foam daddy, however an orange one. I do like a tan one, but for fish pooling I would say the orange version's better. I also had a little bit of Viva Green Floss at the butt section, so it's like a contrast. I've got so many fish in it. I can remember fishing it was called a something World Championships on Blithfield, and we had all the Rio boys when Rio had a proper team. There was a lot of really good anglers there, and I basically bounced from Mary Lou's to the ice cream van, so opposite sides, Tequila Fab in the point, 2 orange daddies on a midge tip. Literally all my fish came on those orange daddies, so such a good fly that. The tan ones are good, bear with me, the light's crazy. The tan ones are really good, however the orange for me takes some beating, so that would be my number one foam dry fly. Tying the fly, I've got a size 12 heavyweight grub hook. This is black nickel, use brass if you want. I just like the way this sits. Orange uni tying thread, and you come in, and all I want, actually do you know what, your best bet is, saves me fondling about with different bits of thread. Straight in, Viva Green Floss. And then come down, give yourself a tag end. Always give yourself a tag end when working with butts, because it makes everything a lot more secure. So I'm going to get 3 or 4 wraps on this, and then pull my tag end up and over. It stops anything fraying at the butt, and then trim that off. So back in my orange tying thread, I want to come down to a point, just sort of sitting opposite the point of the hook. That'll be my tying in point. And then I've got a 2.8mm foam cylinder. I just want to get my sizes right. So in with a lighter on this, and that's your sort of rounded butt. Make sure I've got enough to work with, and I come in. When I come in, I do 3 wraps to secure it. Then I come in and helicopter, a bit like I would if I was tying a parachute dry fly, if you like. Cover all your green up. There you go. And then in with some knotted pheasant tail legs. I tend to take a clump, so I'll probably go 8 or 10 there. And I tie that in no particular way, but I just get it on the underside of the hook shank. And then I'll take it for there. Just secure with a loose, Stephen, a loose pinch and loop. See what we're looking like. Get the legs where you want them. So loose wraps to start. Pull these a little bit. That's about right. And then using your thread, secure them in down by the sides. In with your scissors. Try and lighten that up a little bit. In with your scissors, like so. Now I've got here quite a soft hen. I do like cock hackle in this, so I've got a soft hen, and I want the barbs to be nearly as long as his tail. That's just the way I've always tied it. So I've stripped some feathers away for the core of the feather, and then just tidy up. Leave yourself plenty of space at the head, because I'm going to cock this up a little bit. Not cock the fly up, cock the post up. And then taking your hackle pliers. Be careful, because it's a hen and it's a cheap one, it's fragile. So stroke the fibres back. I want about 4 turns here, one in front of the other. Make sure that the feather's going back. And I want to secure about there, so I just come in, take a pinch and loop there. And then just tidy this up with shred wraps, pulling your hackle back and separating it so it comes either side of that post. Just tidying up with shred wraps here. So, once that's done, I'll just come over, pinch and loop, just hold it. Again, 3 wraps is more than enough. And you can see that hackle's quite hefty, but from underneath you can also see that green floss. So like I say, I've got to pinch the post up a bit with some thread wraps. Make sure you didn't catch any of the hackle. And then you can get a stray fibre there. Just trim that off. In with your scissors, and there's your post. What you can do is add a tiny little bit of varnish. Either side, and a little bit down below. And that's your first of foam dry flies. That's probably number 1, to be fair. Contrast Daddy, what a great fly that is for the reservoirs. Number 2, Flat Daddy. This fly was introduced to me by a guy called Andy Taylor. You'll probably know Andy Taylor, lovely boy. His version was unbelievably badly tied. I think it just started fly time when he first showed me that. I'm talking 20 years ago plus, something like that. I've actually got a picture, I'll put it up. This is me and Andy on Draycott, and this was like 30 degrees and we were fishing flat daddies, and we were catching so many fish. Andy's got a tea towel in his head because the heat was that hot and he'd lost his hat, so hence the reason for that. But yeah, what an effective fly. I've modified it and adapted it to the way I want it in the version that I'm showing you here. In the tying sequence is by far my favourite. The body's a mix. It's a mix that was done for me by Andrew Ellis. I'll say it when I'm tying the flies. But there's something about that colour in the Midlands reservoirs that really seems to work. I've also got a little bit of pearl on the head. I did have ones with gold light bright, however that little bit of pearl on the head makes such a big difference. And I'll also take fry feeding fish. You alright, Mabel? Just checking on my dog there. So that would be number 2. Now, a lot of people in the tying daddies, they make the mistake of using a big hook, one that's too heavy for the actual fly itself. So this is an SLD2, it's a standard dry fly for partridge. And if you fish the right gear, like a middle to tip action rod, you're never getting snapped on this. It's never getting straightened. This is the right hook for the fly. So, in device, my tying medium for this is always red thread. I like red and Dries. I like red in a lot of flies, to be fair. So, the first thing I've got to do is come in and get a bed of tying thread in there. A nice bed of tying thread, like so. And then I've got closed cell foam, colours biscuit, it's a light tan. And I've got a bit of foam here already cut to the size that I want. The width that I want is about half a centimetre, a little bit less, 4mm maybe. And I just create a little sort of corner point. Again, I take a little heat to it just to smooth everything off. And I want to catch that in with about 1/4 inch out the back. Again, 3 wraps, very similar to my Dries or a parachute, and come round 3 times. And what that does with that tension is it stops it going left or right, it stops it going round the hook shank. So This is an amber mix made for me by my mate Andre Ellis. I use this colour in seals for my Dries, but it's like a sunburst orange and a red colour that does really well for me on both Rutland and Grapham. I should also say Pittsford as well. But I want a skinny body. Skinny body. And where you would say a thorax would be for a nymph, that's your bit to stop. So on this fly I do something a bit different. I take like 4 knotted pheasant tail fibres on one side. I don't want them splayed too much. And I want the same again, 4 feathers, or 5 in this case, on the other side. So rather than tying them in on the underside where I do other flies, I'm just going to pull this and this, so I get them eeksy peeksy. And then I'm just going to come in and snip the excess away. Tidy up here, because this has got to be your tying in point. And you want quite a big head on this. So the next thing I want, I've got a nice soft hen hackle. I like hen. I prefer hen to cock hackles on my foam flies. And I've got quite a small feather. I just wanted to cover the length of the body. You see what I mean when I tie it in. So again, I've given myself plenty of space at the head. I don't need too many wraps of this. 3's got to be enough. Well, there's 1, 2, 3. So lifting up on my 4th, I'm going to lock in and tie off. Now I want to create a taper here. Pull the ring back and create a taper. Making sure that hackle's sloping back. I've lost a bit of the hackle there. I never secured it properly, so just see if I can get that in again. 2, 3, oh you bugger. I'll do this by the tips, which I shouldn't do, but here you go, freeze a tie-in. You have to be really delicate with these feathers. Finally, so stroke everything back and create a taper, making sure that your hackle's sloping back, you can see there. So we then pull this forward and you want to tie in as far back as you can onto the tying thread. Come forward a little bit, and then I've got here an alpha knife, it's stupid sharp. Bring it up at an angle, and you can see I've got the foam there, so I'm going to cover all this up and I'm going to create a big head, quite bulbous. There's a lot of foam there, so it's got to be a big head anyway, but just make sure, I'm just going to turn it a little bit, just make sure that all the foam is covered, and then come in and tie off. So the other little addition on this fly is a bit of bling at the head, and it's a pearl tinsel, Flu Orange by Textreme, and I want to come in just where the foam is and be really careful with this stuff because it's stupidly slippy and it's very, very fragile. So I'm just going to pull some off and get it under tension. Take away my tag end. You didn't want the whole head pearl, you just want the back end pearl. Watch it doesn't slip. There you go. You still want some of that red. And to make this robust, I come in with some super glue. Either side. and that creates a really durable head with a little bit of blingy flash there, and that's my best version of this fly. You could do a little bit of gold tinsel, but the fibres tend to come out. I like the hard head of that in the pearl. It looks really nice in the water. So that would be my second foam dry fly that I'd be fishing in the reservoirs at this time of year. Number 2, fish the flat daddy like you would any other dry, but didn't expect to see it on the surface. Everybody assumes it's got a float. 9 times out of 10 it doesn't. It doesn't make a blind bit of difference. I've taken fish down to a daddy 5 on this thing, just twiddling it back. Such a good pattern. And the final fly is it's like a popper hopper, but not the popper hopper that you probably know and love. It's a little bit different. And me and my friend, a guy called Shane Kelly, has been fishing something like this for such a long time now. We did a feature in the magazine when I was editor at Total Fly Fisher, and we went up the Arms in Rutland. Nothing had been getting caught. We decided we'd hit the Arms. There's a little bit of cloud cover, and we fished these things. We went up the north, we went up the south. You'll see by the photos, and we caught some absolutely spectacular fish. In one of the photos, you can just see this fly at the corner of the mouth. Now, the original was a foam post, similar to my little popper fry. This one's tied a little bit different. It's got the foam up and over a hackle, which I think really makes a difference. And I tie it in such a way that the post's pushed up so I can jerk it, create a wake, bring the fish in, grab their attention. So my final dry fly is something that I've fished for an awful long time. We did a feature, and me and my mate, a guy called Shane Kelly, 100 years ago, up the Arms in Rutland when the fishing was tough. We managed to get some really big fish, fishing something very similar to this. This one's moved on a little bit since then. It was just sort of like a popper buzzer. Now it's got legs, popper hopper kind of thing, but one that works exceptionally well. So in with the tying thread. I'm using red for this one. I like red in my dries. I think I've mentioned that. So coming down just to a point as it starts coming around the bend. And then I want to get in some of this stuff. It's quite a thick, but it's a really bright gold holographic. I love it. I love it on dries. So this particular one that I'm tying is an orange with a red post. The other one I like is a claret with a black post. And finally olive with a yellow post. Seal's fur, good stuff. Light bright orange. Bright orange. I've been tying with CDC not long ago, so I didn't really need any wax. The oil on my fingers for CDC is more than enough. So I'm coming up the body. I missed a bit there. I want to stop about there, so you've got half and half because I've got a tie in this bit, and I want to get about, I don't know, 3 turns. I'm just going to lock this in a second. I'll get maybe 3 turns of the holographic. So one at the rear. You might have to do this under tension. There's my proper first full one, my second first full one, and my third full one. Secure. Bed that in. And what I will do is I'll come in with a little bit of Velcro. Pull some of that seal's fur out. Like so. So then I come in similar to the hopper, but I tie these on the top. I get 3 or 4 legs on the top of the hook shank to the far side. Pull them in on just a little touch, and then on the other side, same again, on the top, pull them in. My side, but on the top, and pull them so that all the legs are the same length. But on the, you can see on the top there I've got a stray one. In with your scissors and snip that off. So I've then got small booby eyes, and I round off the end, and I cut it at a 45-degree angle like that. Now I'm just going to quickly round off the end of this. You should be able to do this in one movement. And then a bit of flame. What that does is it just smooths everything off perfect. Let it cool down before you tie it in, and then I'm going to secure it hence the 45-degree angle. Secure it, come in with tension, and then bed all that foam in. This little bit here, come in and take him away. Now, hen again, not a big feather at all. So a little bit hen, and I want 3 little turns here just to cover that area out, because I need this bit for tying in. You'll see what I mean when I tie it. A little scuffy bit there. So using the hackle pliers, I'm going to come up and get my turns of this little hackle, this little hen hackle. 2, 3, one more. Get some of the fibres off of there, Steve. They've all sort of stuck together. There you go. I had it and I lost it. There you go. As I get older, I'm getting cramp in my hand, which is not great tying flies. So you can see I've given myself some space there because I want to cock this post up. And again, similar to what I did with the flat daddy, I pull my hackles back and then, oh you bugger, one stray feather fibre. Come over, secure a pinch and loop, and then where I've got my pinch and loop there, now a few turns, and then with your tying thread just push the post like so. So when you pull that, it kicks the water up. I didn't want it there, I want it up. So when I fish it, I want the whole fly line flat in the water. And if I move it, if I move my line, I want this to kick some water. So I'm going to do my, I've got a little popper fry pattern that I use a lot. Same premise. There's a way of tying it so that the foam, you see there, the foam sticks up in prominence. So when I pull that, obviously it creates a lot of disturbance in the water. And that's my little sort of poppery hoppery type thing, a little bit different from the other ones. Full and mill cell one like this just now. I've been tying something like this for years. However, tying it this way, I used to tie the post in and over. I can't remember who did that. It's probably little Kieran. Kieran's got some nice flies, but pulling it over that way, it creates the post and makes it very effective for pulling as well. I really hope you enjoyed that, folks, this series of flies. They're the best foam patterns that I use at this time of year on the reservoirs, for dry flies anyway. With these foam flies, as with most foam flies, just fish them like normal dries, but they also work extremely well on the dropper, especially that flat daddy, because even when they're below the surface, they're going to take fish. That popper one won't sink, it tends to stay up, and I will fish that on a washing line as well. It can perform really well, but usually for me it's a single fly on its own, either fish static or popped in a decent breeze, decent ripple in the water. It'll work really well, especially in that colour combination. So there you go, there's my 3 flies. Foam flies don't need the titivation that other flies do. They're exceptionally good and they perform all day long. Use the right hooks, the right materials, you won't go wrong. Fish them on quite soft rods. Flies like this, I've got no place on hard, heavy rods, they just didn't work. So use the appropriate tackle for this kind of technical fishing and you'll score big time. I really hope you enjoyed that, folks. If you did, please be kind enough to subscribe to the channel. Take care, bye bye.